In the 2023-2024 NHL season, the Vancouver Canucks were the top team in the Pacific Division. Now, sure, there was a little bit of a scare towards the end of the year as to whether or not the Edmonton Oilers would be able to take over that spot, considering their huge resurgence after the Jay Woodcroft firing and how they were able to string together so many wins. They went on that near record-breaking win streak, and everybody was looking forward as to what this team could do in the playoffs. They were down in the dumps, down bad, when Jay Woodcroft was the coach, but everything turned around once Chris Knobloch stepped in. The Canucks, though, still finished number one in the Pacific, and they got eliminated by that same Oilers team in the second round. The Oilers then lost in the finals. We all know the story, what happens next. But when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks, we'd already discussed this in the video a few days ago, but I think the common consensus amongst my fan base, and myself as well, is that the Vancouver Canucks on paper, while you can say that the roster at the start of the Stanley Cup Playoffs was technically better, quote-unquote, than what the Canucks have now, you could very well say that from a cap management point of view, this team is superior than the previous team that started out that playoff run. You've got guys locked down, you've got more rounded out depth, and you've got better money being given out to these guys. And from a team performance point of view, you could very well say that a lot of these Vancouver Canucks players, the new ones at least, Jake DeBrusk, Danton Heinen, Kiefer Sherwood, they have tremendous value here. And if their impacts on the Vancouver Canucks are better than what they have seen at any other points in their careers, then I don't think that'd be all too surprising. If Adam Foote and Sergei Gonchar work their magic to fix the turnover machine that is Vinny Desharnais, but he's also able to keep his size, his reach, and his overall defensive shutdown ability, then there's no telling how good that asset could be. There's no telling how good Derek Forbort can be. There are a lot of good things with this Vancouver Canucks roster, and even if you wanted to say that they're worse compared to when they started out last year, I mean, you have to remember the Vancouver Canucks were a first overall in the NHL caliber team without Lindholm and without Zadorov. You had three guys at the top of the NHL in points, and Hughes, Miller, and Pettersson all tied at some point throughout last season. The Canucks are a talented bunch that finished first overall in the Pacific this prior year. So why is it that when you take a look at some of the projections as to how the Canucks will fare in 2024-2025, why is it that they're ranked as the fourth best team in the Pacific? The NHL posted this on Twitter yesterday. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Presented by FD Sportsbook. I think that's FanDuel? Yeah, that's what it is. Not sponsored here, by the way. I don't bet myself. But the post asks, who will win the Pacific Division? In the 2024-2025 season, these are your FanDuel projected odds. The highest odds to winning the Pacific, the Oilers, plus 130. Okay, I can understand that. You know, they just went to the finals. McDavid and Draisaitl are there. They torched the playoffs, point production-wise, or at least McDavid did. Draisaitl didn't do anything in the finals, aside from the 3 points that he had gotten. Evan Bouchard's still there. Stuart Skinner's finally getting his confidence back. Okay, if you wanted to bet on the team that just made the finals to pushing themselves to number one in the Pacific, that's totally understandable. Vegas is second overall with a plus 310 odds. Okay, Vegas had a pretty tough go this previous season. They barely squeaked into the wild card, but of course, you have to acknowledge that a bunch of their guys were injured, and their roster now, you could say, is a little better than what they had at the start of last season. I mean, big acquisitions over there by the Vegas Golden Knights. If everybody stays healthy and they're able to get a lot out of Victor Olofsson, whom they had just signed in free agency, then they could look pretty good, right? Third overall, in terms of Pacific Division betting odds, are the LA Kings with a plus 450. Okay, they got better as well, I guess you could say. I mean, they kind of added, but they added pieces that you don't really understand why they added them. Joel Edmondson is a pretty big get, and the dollar amount there is, I don't want to talk too much about that. And then they signed Warren Fogle, which is, okay, I mean, he's not the best. They got Tanner Jeannot, which is nice, but how is he going to fare, especially since he wasn't all too great in Tampa? They got Kyle Burrows, whom I'm not going to say is like going to significantly improve their team. The LA Kings weren't even all too great last year. Like, what the hell? They have the third best odds at winning the Pacific, and then Vancouver's there at plus 490. Like, what? Then you have the bottom half of Pacific teams. Seattle's at plus 1,500, Calgary plus 3,500, Anaheim plus 1,200, not 1,200, 12,000, and then San Jose plus 15,000. How the hell are the Vancouver Canucks less likely to win the Pacific Division compared to the LA gosh darn Kings? There is no metric out there from last year's season to this year that you could say the LA Kings had the edge on Vancouver over, except for head-to-head wins. Maybe defensive shutdown ability, if you wanted to say that. But still, the Vancouver Canucks offense was significantly better than the LA Kings offense this prior season, and you can say the Canucks offense has the potential to get better. I mean, you don't have Andrei Kuzmenko anymore, you don't have Elias Lindholm anymore, yeah, but you have Jake DeBrusk, who will probably be a lot better than the other bums that Elias Pettersson was playing with the entire 23-24 season. JT Miller and Bess are still going to be together. They're still going to get points. Quinn Hughes just had a Norris caliber year. Do you think he's going to regress so significantly that his point production on the power play is going to reduce? What's going on here with some of these odds? How the hell are the Kings higher than the Canucks? For Vegas, there is an argument to be made that their star power is as good, if not maybe better, than Vancouver's, and their defense is mobile, it's solid, they've got goaltending, they're a complete team. Vegas literally won the championship last year. I'm saying last year, but not this previous year. You get what I mean, right? Vegas is good. If you wanted to really say in your heart of hearts you believe Vegas will finish higher than Vancouver, okay, I'm not going to argue too hardly about that. Edmonton, same thing. They just made the finals. They beat the Canucks in the second round, so even though the Canucks absolutely smoked Edmonton in the regular season every time, there still is an understandable argument for that to transpire in 24-25, right? Edmonton wins the division. Oh wow, crazy. The Stanley Cup reigning finalists went out there in the number one spot the next year. That's so shocking, right? But LA? Hell no, dude. How is it that Vancouver has the lowest odds out of the top four teams? And that's a weird way to say it, but I mean, look, Seattle is not going to win. Calgary's not going to win. Anaheim, San Jose, they're not going to win. We all kind of recognize that, which is why they're in the bottom half of this graphic. Plus 1,500 is the jump all the way to Seattle, so it's a pretty big leap. This really is a four-team race in the eyes of the FanDuel folks, but Vancouver has lower odds than LA. Like, what? Ay. Everybody in the comments on this Instagram post are all saying the same thing too. Oh, the Canucks are getting cheesed. How do you have the Canucks so low? Some arguments are getting tossed out there for Vegas being a little bit too high as well. If I were to label it out in my opinion, I'd say the Canucks have a really good chance at repeating as Pacific Division champions because I think the team just has it in them to continue that momentum. If Edmonton is able to use that Chris Knoblauch juju to get themselves to number one, that wouldn't be all too surprising, but I don't know if I'd necessarily predict it. So for them having high odds, it's okay, but Vegas, okay, you're losing me a little bit. LA, you're losing me a lot. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if this video is just one of a Vancouver Canucks fan ranting about how his team is being treated unfavorably by the FanDuel sports betting odds. I mean, I don't bet myself, but if I did, I'd probably take a little bit of money and put it into the Vancouver Canucks. And I'm not saying that you should do that. That's just me making a light point for a commentary on YouTube. But I think that the Vancouver Canucks odds are a lot better than plus 490 or whatever it is on this website. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as to whether or not the Vancouver Canucks are still being underrated. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.